Hi everybody, welcome to the So Essential vlog. I'm Lucy and I'm here today with another Q&A for you all. So we had an absolutely overwhelming response when I asked you to put forward questions in a video a couple of months ago, and I said that I would try and answer them all, but there were so many great questions I just wasn't able to do it all in one video. So I'm going to keep picking them up and do a series of videos where I answer those fantastic questions. So thank you so much to everybody who took part in it. I really do find it so overwhelming, and it gives me such a massive buzz when I see that enthusiasm coming back at me from you guys. So thank you so much for that. If I do mention any products or blog posts, I'll pop links to those below so that you can find them. There's also a link to our wonderful website where we sell loads and loads of gorgeous sewing goodies, so you'll find the link to that below as well. So let's get started with the first question, which was from an Ivanic Holmes, who asked, what is the most difficult thing that I've ever sewn? So the most difficult thing I've ever sewn was this cocktail dress, which was for the McCall's Pattern Company cocktail blogger tour. It is a Vogue pattern, and I made a satin back creped bodice and satin pencil skirt, and then I did a tulle overlay on the top. I machine embroidered designs onto the tulle. I used satin bias to finish the raw edges. I hand sewed button loops. I French seamed the armholes, which I will do a tutorial on, guys. I know everyone wants to see that. I will do that soon. Stay with me, I'll get there. But yes, it was a real sort of test of my sewing skills, especially seeing as at the time when I made it, I was really quite new to sewing. I didn't have a huge amount of experience. I did a tulle overlay as well for the skirt, and I machine embroidered these little 3D flowers that I attached to there. Now it doesn't do it justice when I hold it up on a hanger here. It doesn't look that great on the camera, but there is a blog post with the photos of me wearing it, and you can find the link to that below and you can have a good look at it there. But the reason it was so difficult is because, as I say, I was quite early on in my sewing journey, and when I was making that dress, there were a lot of points where I was holding my breath. I don't know if you've ever done that when you're sewing, or you're like sweating because you're so nervous about it. But actually, it was such a fantastic experience for me. I'm really glad that I did it. I'm really glad that I went big, and I thought, let's do something really challenging. Because at the end of it, I was so proud of what I produced, and I'd learnt so much just in that one project as well. So I'm a real advocate of just pushing yourself, challenging yourself. Not every single sewing project, because I think that would get pretty tiring and sometimes a bit soul destroying, but just every now and again, after you've got a few projects under your belt that were nice and easy, I like to really stretch those sewing muscles and try something a little bit more difficult. I did have my mother-in-law Angela to refer to when I made that. I did have her to get advice and support from as well, which was obviously helpful. But yes, that was definitely the most difficult thing that I'd made, especially at that point during my sewing career. Ivanic also asked, do I use paper patterns or do I draft my own? Well, I use paper patterns. I have had a little go at drafting. One of my lovely friends, Anne, who works at Loughborough University, helped me to draft a pair of trousers and start work on drafting a bodice, but I never sort of finished it. I just didn't have the time, in all honesty. So that is something I would love to get back to and do at a later date. Cindy Riesling asked, what's my role at the office? So predominantly my role is content creation and social media, so making these videos, managing our other social media accounts. But also, we are a small business, so I get involved in absolutely everything else as well. You know, I get involved in the admin side of things. I do a bit of buying, I do a bit of ordering. Occasionally I'm out in the warehouse helping out there if it's needed. You know, you just really have to be prepared to do whatever it takes to keep things ticking and keep things running. So yeah, there's never a dull moment in my job. There's always lots and lots of different things to be juggling and thinking about. Cindy also asked, how do I pick buttons for my project? And I think this is a really good question, because when I first started making lots of button down dresses and tops, I remember thinking, oh, hang on a minute, how do I choose the right buttons? And oh, if I get it wrong, it could really spoil the look of the whole garment. But what I learned to do, my top tip, is to Google a similar garment. So if you've just made a ditzy mini dress, or you've just made a polka dot blouse, navy blue or whatever, Google the style and the colour of the outfit that you've just made, or the garment that you've just made, and then when the items come up that are in the shops, have a look at those, or the designers or whoever, have a look at those ready to wear garments and have a look at what buttons they've used on there. And then I use that as then my sort of starting point to go and try and find the appropriate buttons. I basically try and copy it, because I think, you can see what it looks like on the garment there, so you know whether it will be the look that you want or not. Also, when I have bought buttons, I do lay them out on the garment so that I can see what they look like as well before I sew them to the garment. And then if all else fails and you really can't find the right buttons, I always go for the self-cover buttons. We stock loads of them on our website. I'll pop a link to them below. They come in all different sizes and different types of materials, but you just basically cut out the same fabric as your garment's made from and cover the buttons, and then it's a perfect match. And I always find that's a really good fallback if I can't quite find the right thing that I'm looking for. Cindy also asked, where do I see myself as a sewist in 10 years time? Well, hopefully I'd say I would have found the time to draft some patterns and have a go at that. Also, having made a really wide range of garments, I've been saying for years I'd love to make a coat or a jacket. I sort of never get round to it because there's always so much else going on. But I know when I made a pair of jeans earlier this year, that felt like a real milestone and achievement, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable project. So I think I'd just like to think that I'd made lots and lots of things and really, experienced most sort of dressmaking projects by that time. Obviously still loving it and enjoying it. Where do I see myself as a vlogger in 10 years time, Cindy also asked. And I do wonder about this sometimes. I've got no idea where it will end up. As long as it's still enjoyable, I'll still be doing it, I think. I really do love doing these videos, and I really love hearing from you guys. We get so many great comments and emails as well. The amount of people that email with lovely feedback, it really sometimes makes me feel almost a little bit emotional, to be honest, at how kind and wonderful people are about it. So as long as I can see that I'm still inspiring people and encouraging people and motivating people to sew, then I'll keep doing it. I would love to crack 100,000 followers as well. Or subscribers, sorry. We're up to 22.7, I think it is now, so I've got a long way to go, but I'm blown away by how many people have subscribed to our channel already. So yeah, who knows where we could be in that amount of time. Marie Venezia asked, when did I start sewing and what's my favourite thing about it? What a brilliant question, Maria, thank you. So I started sewing, it was about 5 years ago, and I had 2 children. I'd just had my second baby. I decided to take voluntary redundancy from my previous job because it just wasn't suitable for working around children. There's a lot of travel involved, it was a lot of stress and pressure, and I just knew that it wasn't going to work well with a young family. And then as a result of that, once my baby got older, I just decided I needed something else to channel my energies into, and I just wanted to learn something new. So I started sewing and got more and more involved in my husband and my mother-in-law's business. And I think the thing that I enjoy most about it is I find it a really good method of mindfulness. I am quite a sort of I've got a very busy mind. I'm always on the go. I'm sort of one of those people that finds it quite difficult to relax, really. I'm always doing something, and I'm a very active person. So sewing, I find, is wonderful for making me slow down, making me focus my thoughts. And although I'm still doing something, I find that I switch off from everything else because I'm concentrating on the sewing. So it's brilliant therapy in that respect. I also love the fact that you're constantly learning, you know, even if you've been sewing for ever. You know, my mother-in-law, she's been sewing for 60 plus years, and she'll still come to work sometimes and say, oh, I've just learnt this new technique, or oh, have you seen this method of doing that, you know, or I tried this fabric last week and I realised that this worked really well. So I think that as well, I absolutely love that element of it. It just feels like the possibilities are endless, and you know, there's always something new to learn and try. So I absolutely love that. And I think, you know, I was always a very academic person and a very career driven person, and I never saw myself as a creative person especially, but I think sewing has really brought that element of my personality out, and I really love it and enjoy it. You know, it's just wonderful to think, you know, I can focus on that part of my personality more and sort of embrace it, and sewing's definitely helped me to do that. And then finally, the other thing I really love about it, there are so many things I love about it, but I just get such a buzz out of wearing clothes that I've made. You know, I've always loved fashion, I've always loved clothes, I've always loved putting outfits together. But when they're comprised of things that you've made yourself, I just find that just such a massive buzz. Speaking of which, actually today I've got my Tilly and the Buttons Nora t-shirt on that I've made recently, my ginger jeans that I've talked to you about loads of times, and then this is a ready to wear cardigan. But yeah, I just get such a buzz out of that. So yes, they're all the things I love about sewing. There's probably loads of others as well, to be honest, but they're the main ones. Also, Sew Crafty Nana asked, I'd love to hear the Sew Essential story. Is it a physical store or are you just online? What changes do you see for the business, if anything, with the new normal we have now? So I think the Sew Essential story, I love telling this story. It started in 2004. My husband was doing a computer science degree and he had to design a website for his dissertation. And at about the same sort of time, his mum, who is a massive sewing fanatic, has sewn all her life, always been involved in lots of different businesses to do with sewing over the years. She was finding that she was struggling to get hold of the things that she needed to be able to carry on with her hobby. And sadly, that's because, you know, a lot of the bricks and mortar stores, there weren't so many of them anymore, and it was quite frustrating. She wasn't able to get hold of what she wanted to. So at the time, the internet was very new. Internet shopping was really new, but they did realise that there was a gap in the market, and Ed decided to design the website for his dissertation, and they started the business from there. They started it from home with just a few £100, you know, put some things on the website, thought they'd see how it went, and that was back in 2004. We're now here in 2020. So much has changed since then. You know, the business has grown and grown. But yeah, it all started just from a mum and her son having this idea together, and they built it from there. But yeah, that's how it all started. In terms of changes, I mean, we are just an online business. We're not a physical store. And in terms of changes, you know, really not a great deal has changed for us because we've always been an online business. So we had to make some practical changes just to keep everybody safe and what have you in the warehouse. But you know, other than that, for our customers and the day-to-day running of the business, really not a great deal has changed because we're very insular. It's you know, we run a warehouse, and yeah, you know, we've had to stop allowing members of the public to come in, but you know, it really is an online business predominantly, so not a lot has changed there. Although I do think more and more people are taking up sewing, which is wonderful, because I think, you know, people have obviously been stuck at home, which has been very difficult for a lot of us, and people have been looking for something to entertain them, to give them some purpose, to give them some focus, and sewing has been that purpose and that focus for a lot of people. But once again, everybody, thank you so much for all your fantastic questions. I really appreciate it. I still haven't got through them all, so in another few weeks I'll pick up again and I'll do some more. And if there's any that you want to ask that haven't been covered, you can always pop them in the comments of this video and then I can add them to the list, because I'll just keep doing this as a rolling series every sort of 4 weeks or something in between all the other topics that we cover. As I said at the start of the video, everything I mentioned today is available on our website. You can find the link to our website below. You'll also find blog posts and things I've referred to. I'll pop those links below as well. And if you like what you see today, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next time.